Every culture that has allowed the killing of innocent human life has gone down the tubes. And we will do the same thing if we continue on the path on which we're now treading. When mankind begins to decide who shall live and who shall die, all of us are at risk. The Supreme Court failed miserably in their proper role for society.
Welcome to Celebrate Life. Today we are going to see exactly how doctors have turned from God and His precepts. God commands, "Thou shalt not kill." But today the baby who lives in the womb is not a person, and killing the baby is not a crime. There are more than 4,000 babies killed by abortion every day in America, and the silence from the medical community is horrifying. How did our country come to this? Let's find out.
Salt. This is the site on which the city of Sodom once stood, here on the Dead Sea in Israel. Once here, under this surreal field of salt, Sodom was the most humanly corrupt city on earth, a place of evil and of death. Sodom comes readily to mind when one contemplates the evils of abortion and the death of moral law.
In the late 1970s, former U.S. Surgeon General Dr. C. Everett Koop and the late theologian Francis Schaeffer appeared in a film series titled Whatever Happened to the Human Race. They warned us of decaying medical ethics brought on by the legalization of abortion. 6 million abortions in the United States had occurred when this film series was released, and today that total is over 30 million. Just as they warned, the killing of innocent people has now spread to handicapped newborns, the very ill, and the elderly. Protesting the killing of innocent human life, thousands of pro-life marchers descend on our nation's capital and cities across America every year around the anniversary of the January 22, 1973 Supreme Court ruling that sanctioned abortion on demand. But in spite of these massive marches for life, the killing hasn't stopped, and the decline in medical ethics continues. Whatever happened to the practice of medicine in our country? Whatever happened to the doctor's pledge to do no harm?
I took the Hippocratic Oath in medical school, which specifically, when I took it, said that one would not perform an aborted patient. But everyone knew at that time that, including the Bible, that these older phrases and things were relativistic. And, you know, that was for another time. It wasn't practical, and the needs of the day were for women to have abortion on demand. And so I felt I was serving women.
As a medical student in the early 70s, Dr. Randall remembers the pressure to do abortions as part of his training. And then the 1973 Supreme Court ruling gave him and his peers the green light to open lucrative abortion clinics.
The law changed in the United States in 73 with Roe versus Wade. And then, of course, the demand was tremendously increased. Also, at the same time, the technology where the suction apparatus, the suction abortion came. And that allowed us to do an abortion that took 20 minutes in 2 minutes. And less blood loss, less risk. And we thought that was a real boon, you know, to this whole thing. And that women could get, you know, be safer that way. And then what allowed us to do, and keep this demand up, allowed us to do 6 a day, you know, or 10 a day, easily. I rather rapidly became the head of a major abortion clinic in Atlanta. And they would do, you know, approximately 100 abortions a week, maybe a little less on sometimes more. And on Saturday I did up to, I think my highest number at one time was 62. And during the 10-year period, approximately 32,000 abortions that I did.
I convinced myself that I was doing this for the good of the patient and for the good of my training. And I started out doing abortion. But I think when I look back on it now, I blocked out really and truly what I was doing. I couldn't have any emotion about it. I just wanted to do it well and have the patient do well and go home without any complications. And that was success.
As a new doctor in the 1970s, Sharon Bird also felt the pressure to offer abortion as part of her services. Her growing discomfort with killing rather than curing led her to stop, but not before a very graphic lesson.
And as I was doing the procedure, a little tiny hand, and maybe about up to here, fell out on my booty, you know, my shoe cover. And I felt it when it hit my foot. And I looked down, and I saw this tiny little hand, perfectly formed, with a piece of the wrist and onto it. I could see veins and vessels. I mean, it was almost transparent. And I remember saying to myself, what am I doing? What am I doing? To this day, on my foot, I can feel it. I really can. I can feel it where it hit.
100 years ago, the black man was considered a non-person. We look back with pride at the way the Christian church stood up against slavery. But how will Christians in the future look back at us? Will they read of our heroic struggle to stand against abortion or euthanasia? In the powerful video series, Whatever Happened to the Human Race, the Christian church is directly challenged to take a stand. Every church should see this series. For more information, just call American Life League.
I am a woman that had an abortion, so I speak from a personal experience. And I think that there was just never a time in my mind and in my heart where I felt this was truly a human being until I got into the Word of God and I read where David says in the Psalms that before he was even born, God had known him in his mother's womb. And even Jeremiah spoke about the fact that he had already been designated a position that God had for him. And at that particular time, life became very, very real for me to know that God knows us even in the womb of a mother. I thought about what that child could have been, what I could have been for that child, and what I'll have to say when I stand in front of the Lord one day to answer for that. We must, without a shadow of a doubt, choose life. And I ask you to come together to choose life.
Every human life is a precious gift from God. Each person is formed in His image. He turns none of us away, and He wants us to lead others to Him. Sharing the love of God is something we see every week on Celebrate Life. I hope you'll be inspired to share God's love with others in your community. For free information on things you can do to make a difference, call American Life League.
In 1857, the United States Supreme Court ruled that black people were not persons, and thus their lives were not protected by the U.S. Constitution. The High Court affirmed slavery until a bloody Civil War stopped the practice. But prior to that, a slave was considered the property of his or her owner and could be bought or sold or killed. In 1973, the Supreme Court erred again. They declared unborn babies non-persons with no legal protection from abortion, even in the 9th month of pregnancy. In both decisions, the court ruled against the time-honored ethic of do no harm. The ancient Greek Hippocrates is known as the father of medical ethics. In his famous Hippocratic Oath, which until the 1960s all doctors took, he specifically warned physicians not to be involved with abortion or any form of deadly medicine. The 1949 Declaration of Geneva, a modified Hippocratic Oath, also provided protection in the womb. Dr. William Colleton is one doctor who has held fast to his original pledge years ago.
Not only did we, as graduates from medical school in those days, take the oath of Hippocrates unamended, but all of your professors made it abundantly clear that patient confidentiality and always and everywhere having the patient's best interest at heart, never thinking of injuring them, certainly not killing them, and the idea of aborting a preborn child was anathema. Any doctor who had a hint of a connection with abortion, even by way of clandestine referral, was frowned upon by his confreres. He just wasn't accepted into the brotherhood of doctors.
After 2,000 years, however, Hippocrates' oath to protect life was dramatically changed.
Any reference to abortion was deleted from the Hippocratic Oath, and many schools have even set it aside completely as anachronistic and have devised their own oaths to beneficence and autonomy and other currently discussed moral codes for physician-patient relationships.
Aren't doctors today just doing what society wants and what's legal?
Doctors are doing what is legal, but what is legal is not necessarily moral. What they are doing is clearly immoral. My American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology has a 4-page, single-spaced, printed document describing the ethics of induced abortion. Our Creator addressed that issue in 4 words: "Thou shalt not kill." How mixed up we are cannot be made any more evident than that disparity of thought. If you've got to take 4 pages to try to make killing innocent human life right, you've got a problem at the top.
Well, I go down and kill a few every day. You know, that's the way I felt. I got very hard-hearted on it. I was just hard-hearted. I mean, I kind of purposely hardened my heart, the whole thing, because I needed to keep on doing the abortions. I didn't want to.
You knew you were killing.
Yeah, I had the sense, but short of murder. It was like it was wrong, distasteful, uncomfortable, but still you can do it if you have to do it. And I had to do it. I had a reason. I justified it through, I had economic reasons at that time, but I was going to sometime in the future stop.
I just wanted to do what I could do well, and that included surgery. And I started to do abortions. And from the very first time, even before I did one, I can look back and know that I struggled with that. And I can understand why now, but I didn't then.
The profession of medicine is clearly in a schizophrenic posture. We don't have our thought processes together. We are acting illogically. I don't know what's happened to logic, but I think it's gone out to lunch. There isn't any denying what's happening with induced abortion. We're killing preborn babies. It's a simple proposition that everyone knows. To deny that kind of reality is to look at the red light on the corner and drive right through saying that light is green. Death results from that kind of undertaking, and death results from induced abortion.
Does it matter that man was created in the image of God? Of course it does. We all know what has happened in societies that abandoned the sanctity of human life. We live in a society today that is fast losing respect for every human life. The film series, Whatever Happened to the Human Race, is just what every church should be showing its members today. These powerful videos are a wake-up call to Christians to act now. To order this series, just call American Life League.
would not have been born had it not been for the convictions of a doctor. My mother found herself carrying a child at age 41. No husband, no job, no hope, no future. Tried to have an abortion. The doctor said no. Miraculously, I was allowed to be born. God had a plan for me. Somehow we've got to instill morality and virtue into the minds and hearts of people, and we can do it together.
The Bible tells us that the truth will set us free. American Life League is dedicated to speaking the truth because every human life is a precious gift from God. We believe that speaking the truth will spread freedom, true freedom to live according to godly principles. American Life League speaks the truth through Celebrate Life TV and radio public service programming, through All About Issues and Voice magazine, through a wide variety of pamphlets, booklets, and newsletters to equip the church for the work of God. I hope that Celebrate Life TV has inspired you to think about the things you and your church can do to bring the love of God and His truth and freedom to your own community. Each of us has a place in His plan. One person can always make a difference. For free information on things you can do to make a difference, call American Life League.
In 1991, the right to kill ethic was put on the ballot in the state of Washington. Voters were asked to legalize the act of physicians helping patients to commit suicide. The pro-life people immediately saw the connection to abortion and worked against Initiative 119. The ethic of death was searching for new victims, this time the terminally ill. An organization of physicians, led by Dr. Robin Bernhoft, worked hard to educate voters on the harsh impact legalizing physician-assisted suicide would have. He often referred back to the father of medical ethics.
Hippocrates' contribution to Western civilization was unique in the sense that his school of medicine promised it wouldn't kill. All the other Greek doctors were killing people, and Hippocrates' people weren't. This gave them a tremendous market advantage. People flocked to them. They became the dominant school because the patients liked the sound of that. Now suddenly we're on the verge of at least considering reversing that and making doctors both killers and healers. There's a tremendous amount of injustice that's going to be visited on a lot of vulnerable people, and that bothers me. I've got a little boy with Down syndrome, and he might be one of them. People are in the habit of killing and considering killing a medical treatment. Then I think that they're going to start broadening the indications.
Despite strong media campaigns by groups like the Hemlock Society, Hippocrates' ethics survived, as voters narrowly rejected Initiative 119.
If we can kill the totally innocent, beautiful little human being that's within the womb, total love, never had a bad thought or a bad idea or an injurious whim of any kind, if we can destroy them for no reason at all, we certainly are going to be able to take care of the hundreds of thousands who reside in our nursing homes at great, great cost to society with no meaningful existence in the judgment of some who control public policy.
Goodbye, Grandma. You'll be fine.
With remarkable accuracy, whatever happened to the human race foretold of the ever-expanding ethic of death. But perhaps that's because this path of medicine has been traveled before. The original program that led to the German death camps of World War II was introduced by German physicians, not the military. The first gas chamber was designed by professors of psychiatry and used to empty the mental hospitals. German pediatricians then disposed of handicapped children beginning in 1939. The killing ethic expanded to target any person not wanted by those in control of public policy.
I don't think that we're going to be setting up death camps in the foreseeable future or anything like that, but there is a corrosion of attitude. At least the Dutch have shown us that the doctors who do euthanasia don't have the same fastidiousness about the care of their other patients. They don't seem to be quite as bothered about using death as a medical treatment. If we define individuality as just asserting rights without any indication or any consideration of what that assertion of right is going to do to other people that aren't as strong, then we have totally redefined compassion. We're talking utilitarianism, we're talking social Darwinism, we're talking a really nasty way of organizing a society, and I'm going to fight against that.
Today, choices are being made that undermine human rights. Practices once labeled unthinkable are now acceptable within the medical community. Whatever Happened to the Human Race is a powerful video series that every church in America must see. 2 years of filming on 3 continents has produced a stunning visual experience, a creative expose of abortion, euthanasia, and infanticide. This 5-episode series presents the Christian alternative to this erosion of the dignity of human life. No longer is a mother's womb a sanctuary for her preborn baby. No longer can the elderly and terminally ill assume their doctors or family have their best interests at heart. No longer can the handicapped newborn be assured of life-sustaining care. Whatever happened to the human race must be seen by every Christian in America today. To order this series for your church, just call American Life League.
It's not, of course, an easy thing for an entertainer to swim against the tide and against all the opinion in his industry and take a strong pro-life stand. It's the parent's responsibility to teach kids how to be pro-life, how to get things in perspective.
Each of us has a place in God's plan, and one person always makes a difference. I hope Celebrate Life has inspired you to think about what you and your church could do to help spread the love of God in your community. There are hurting people everywhere who are just waiting for God's family to reach out to them. For free information on things you can do to make a difference, call American Life League.
When I was growing up, the ethic that controlled medicine, that controlled the law, that controlled all of human deportment was that ethic that said, as our founding fathers said, that human life is inviolable, that it has a certain sanctity about it. From the Christian and from the Judeo-Christian perspective, it's because we believe that we're made in the image of God. This sanctity of human life not to be violated by any individual, any neighborhood, any government, any nation, any world authority. This was what governed our deportment from top to bottom. Clearly, we have lost this posture towards the sanctity of human life, and the only thing that will get us back on track as far as rectifying our thinking and bringing logic back into our deportment is a return to that view. Induced abortion was the leading wedge of this changed in societal posture. Every culture that has allowed the killing of innocent human life has gone down the tubes. And we will do the same thing if we continue on the path on which we're now treading. It seems to me that some moral authority has got to seize the high ground and say enough is enough. We cannot tolerate one more innocent human life being taken away from the surface of God's earth. Now we're going to fight this thing tooth and nail from the pulpit, from every platform on which we can, from which we can speak, and stop this killing of innocent human life now. 12 million innocent human beings went to their deaths in Nazi Germany. 6 million of those strictly because of their Jewish heritage. Others because they were ill or deformed or enemies of the Aryan race in some fashion or other. When mankind begins to decide who shall live and who shall die, all of us are at risk. We've got to turn back to our loving God and say, help, listen, we need you. We're in desperate shape down here in this battle between good and evil, and it's perfectly evident that our feeble efforts are to no avail. We need you big time down here, God our Father, and for me, Jesus Christ, his Son. With you, we can pull this thing off. Without you, we are dead in the water. Pray, fast. If you have the resources to get involved, teach your neighbors, teach your children exactly what is happening to the future of America. Again, the Supreme Court failed miserably in their proper role for society, just as they failed miserably in the Dred Scott decision in the last century. This is good versus evil. The battle is raging. The forces of good at this point in time, unfortunately, I don't see as the winning side. They will be the winning side if we can awaken people to the truth of exactly what is transpiring.
Yes, abortion, no! Awaken people to the truth. Tell them it is legal to kill babies by abortion in America. Why hasn't the church stood up to defend these babies? Why aren't more Christians involved in this battle? American Life League stands ready to help you, your family, your community, your church. But first, we have to hear from you. So let me know how we can help you, won't you? Pray to God for guidance. America is losing her soul, and God wants you to respond.
Free transcripts and low-cost videotapes of each Celebrate Life program are available by writing to American Life League, P.O. Box 1350, Stafford, Virginia 22555, or call American Life League's toll-free number at 1-800-645-4ALL.
Thank you for watching Celebrate Life with Judy Brown. For information on American Life League, please call 1-800-645-4ALL. Once again, the number to call is 1-800-645-4255.